Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. Get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked. Hello, everybody. And I think we're probably, I'm recording this near the holiday season, which I personally do not celebrate any of the holidays. I don't know when you're listening to this, but it's fall here, sometime early December in the Seattle Bothell area where I currently live. And it's a great time of year for me. I tend to think of this time of year as the closing up of the end of the year and the projection out to the new year. What do I want the new year to look like? What's going on? What exciting things are happening? What am I up to? And next year I'll be writing a book called Uncoupling Love. You know, we keep hearing that love is the answer, love, love's all you need, blah, 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 all about the love, And I've been doing some interviews around this idea of uncoupling love. And I think it's going to be a really interesting book. I'll be talking more about it, in later episodes when I've written more about it. We'll see how it all goes. So today I promised you sexual compatibility. We talked about visual arousal, and we talked about sexual chemistry in the last episode. If you haven't heard that, go listen to it. Usually when I teach anything about sexual chemistry, people are like, whoa, are you kidding me? Oh my God, it's pretty epic. Something we should be taught probably in high school, change how we had relationships. So what is sexual compatibility? So I lump things like sexual style with this, sexual timing with this. I'm not talking about how long you last. I'm talking about how often you want to have sex. I'm talking about how you like to have sex. And you could lump kinks and other things into this compatibility as well. So sexual compatibility means that y'all roll kind of the same way sexually. All right, what the heck does that mean? Let's say that you are hardcore into BDSM and you get with somebody who is not. They are totally into vanilla sex. You might be, oh, that's okay. We have sexual chemistry. We have all of these other things going for us. This isn't going to be a problem. Well, that's not actually true. Though people can learn to be more sexually compatible, sexual chemistry, we can't change. That is how it is. That is set because of genetics. But sexual compatibility is one of those things that we can kind of maneuver around and compromise and negotiate and try different things. We can learn things. So it's probably it's important for a good sex life, but it's one of the more moldable, malleable kind of things. All right. So let's say you're somebody who wants to have sex all the time. And first of all, I've met plenty of men who say that. I've met very few men who can actually do that. It sounds great as in principle, especially if you feel desperate about sex. But if you get a hold of a woman who's really in her sexual power, who you'll be under the table. It won't happen. So, but let's just say you want to have sex every day. And she, if she's being honest, wants to have sex once a week. Is that a problem? Well, it can become a problem if nobody's talked about it and there's unmet expectations. And if you're hounding her or pushing her or giving desperation towards her, and she becomes resentful because nobody ever talked about this, then it becomes a problem. Kink, same thing, timing, yep. And even so far as maybe you're somebody who doesn't like intimacy. Now, we could say that there's a problem you need to fix. For the sake of this, just let's say you're not into intimacy. You just want basic sport, what I call sports sex. Bang her over the back of the couch, boom, wham, bam, have you done, everybody gets off, we're done, okay? And she, all of a sudden, throws down I want to have neo-tantra sex, which is all about intimacy and connection and sex as a meditation and all this. And you're like, what the actual heck? Right? What is going on here? These diverse compatibility styles of sexual interest can become problematic. Do you know that most couples don't reveal their innermost self until about 7 years into a relationship? 7 years into a relationship, maybe all of a sudden you decide to tell your partner that what really turns you on, is when you're wearing women's panties when you're making out with her. Okay. And maybe if you told her that in the beginning, she'd have been cool. But because you waited 7 years to tell her that, now she feels like she doesn't know you at all. She feels like everything could be up in the air. She doesn't know you, doesn't understand what's happening. So sexual compatibility and kinks and interests and timing, the way you like to have sex, maybe you're a daytime sex person, she's a nighttime sex person. All of this matters. So how well do you know yourself sexually? If you say to somebody, oh, no, it's cool that we have vanilla sex 80% of the time, I'm fine with that. When the reality is you're not, that you actually want to be dominated every single time you have sex, or you're not sexually happy. What if she's like, oh, sure, I'm cool with whatever we're doing, but she's really not. She wants to have slow carezza lovemaking with no orgasm agenda, and you're all about getting off. Problems. How do you have these discussions? Well, first of all, you've got to know yourself. If indeed you have some type of kink or fetish or something that is your highest sexual order, like if you sat down and just took a piece of paper and like, when do I have the most, when is sex the best for me? What is the best sex ever? What comprises of it? What are the things that, make it the best sex ever? And you looked at that and you found out that, I don't know, what kind of things can I think about here? You found out that basically latex, wearing latex while having sex was your biggest high ever. You want to know that. And you'd want to know that because when you got into a new relationship with a new partner, you would want to let them know that. Because what if latex was their least favorite thing ever? And they said that. You're already in a relationship and at some point they bring it up and now you're never going to share with them this other thing because they just told you they're turned off by it. Should have known that in the beginning. Once again, can people change? Absolutely. Can they change sexual styles? Yes. When I was younger, I had sex very differently than I did 20 years later and 20 years after that. Some people like texture, meaning they want to have sex lots of different ways. Other people want to be romanced before they have sex, or they're not really interested in it. They're actually into the romance and will give you the sex up for the romance. Neo-tantric sex. Some people just want to spend hours in sexual meditation while practicing non-ejaculatory sex. Great. I personally think we should have a wide range. What's that word? I believe we'd be more satisfied. How about that? I believe that we would have better sex and be more satisfied if we opened up our range of styles and our range of finding pleasure and our range of giving and experiencing pleasure. I think that would be a lot better for all of us. But once again, we can become very narrow focused. Just like a woman could only get off if she's on her stomach, right, with her knees shut, meaning there's only a few ways that you can touch her that way. She has less sexual satisfaction because she has a very narrow band of how she can get off or be aroused. If you have to wear women's jeans and rub up against a tree to get off, and you can't really get off like that when you're with a partner, that limits your ability to have sexual satisfaction. None of these things are good or bad or whatever. It does none of it. But what it does do is limit your range. What it does do is narrow the field. And what most people do with things like that, I mean, some people won't even own the fact that they like missionary sex better than any other sex. All they want to have is missionary. They've tried it all. They really don't want to have anything but missionary sex. They don't dare say that because maybe that makes them look like they're boring, or they're afraid their partner will be like, really? Just like the same way there's people who, like, if they don't have it different every single time, they're bored. these are all, I think, problematic when it comes to just general sexual satisfaction, but definitely when it comes to sexual compatibility. So a great exercise to do is to sit down and list the ways in which sex arouses you or making out arouses you for yourself. This is a self-exploration. I want to have sex every day. Okay, great. My best way to get off is X, Y, and Z. I have this kink that would make sex way better if I were able to share it, but I can't. I haven't. Whatever it is, just start exploring that, because when it comes down to longer term relationships, not maybe so much in casual sex because whatever, but in longer term relationships, you want to have a level of sexual compatibility. You absolutely do. If somebody loves to bite, that really does it for them. And they're with a partner who does not like biting at all, that's a turnoff. Somebody's compromising. Now, if the person who loves to bite can compromise and not bite and still feel okay about it, then great. Or the person that doesn't like to be bit can handle a nip every once in a while, great, fine, not going to be a problem. But you can see where I'm going with this. Important to know your sexual style. Also important to know that you are not limited by that sexual style, because sexual styles are also programmed into us a lot of the time. There are plenty of people who I'm about to piss off right now who have kinks or are into BDSM or into other different, let's say, out of the quote unquote, whatever norm is, out of the norm range of sexual interests, and believe that's just who they are. And a lot of this can cue back to early sexualization and arousal. Yes, indeed. So absolutely, we can retrain, reprogram all of our sexual style. That is not hardwired and coded into us. It's usually created. Now, I know that's not popular out there, and I'll do an entirely different episode on kink. By the way, Tantra has nothing to do with kink. Neo-Tantra is not about kink. Just because people are adding the word Tantra and kink somewhere or BDSM into it is not a thing. That is somebody just using the word Neo or Tantra to spice it up. You don't need to do that. You can just do it. I personally don't believe in taboos. If everybody's a consenting adult, there's no such thing as a taboo. If you are, and I'll talk about that when I get into the whole kink thing. I'll give you some more info on that. But anyway, sexual compatibility. In summary, it's style, it's frequency, it's style, it's how you get your groove on. It's probably something you've learned. Well, it's definitely something you've learned. Sexual style is learned. Sexual style can be changed. You can learn to enjoy and do other things. But the most important thing about it is understanding yours now, where you are right now with it, being 100% honest with yourself right now. Let go of any shame, blame, or whatever. If you're into something that other people are like, what? You're doing what with pickles? Whatever. That's your thing. Don't worry about it. It's your thing. Can you change that thing? Especially if you're stuck hard in one thing and it's really difficult to find somebody to match with that. I would say, unless you're totally happy sexually, if you're not, because it's such a narrow niche that you're into, you could start opening up that gap, opening up that style so that you find more sexual satisfaction in different things. That was something I had to go on. I was very, very specific about sexual style because of my autism. And I learned how to open up and have a wide range of sexual style. And it made everything so much better for me, because then that didn't have to be the thing that made or broke a relationship. Sexual chemistry, we know that's real. Sexual compatibility, if you open your range up, never has to be an issue in your sex life if both of you have an open range and you've reprogrammed, retrained, learned different things. never have to have an issue again with that. Wow, wouldn't that be awesome? Because trust me, there's enough issues in sex and relationships and love that we just don't need that one in there. Okay, great. Now we've explored sexual chemistry, visual arousal, as well as sexual compatibility. Start marking the dots here going, okay, interesting. Awesome. Once again, you can hit me up, ask me questions, tell me what you want me to talk about. If you've got issues you want to talk about, you want to explore some things, jump on a coaching, low introductory coaching call with me. The link is somewhere in the descriptions. Just hit the button, go, not a sales call. Don't worry, nothing. Or just email me or hit me up on social media. All right, later.